right, hello football gamers. Welcome back to Madden Football Gaming. Today we're coming at you with a quick update of 5 things that are going to be changing in Madden 22 that you need to be aware of. So top things to be aware of right now, just talking about them a little bit more to prepare you and help prepare you for when that comes out. First one, we're going to get right into it. Okay, first change. Halftime adjustments. So when you're playing the game right now and you have all the different abilities that are on your people, so you have acrobat, maybe you have one step ahead or inside stuff on one person, etc., you're going to have the ability to now change those at halftime. Now what that means is if someone comes out and they are run heavy, then you can switch. If you have abilities on players that are not activated, you could switch the abilities. You could do outside stuff, you could do inside stuff, and really kind of shut down those run-heavy offenses that are just hard to stop right now. Or the opposite, they're passing a lot. Maybe you start off with run-heavy, and you switch to a pass defense. You start putting acrobats out there. You start putting deep zone KOs, one step aheads, etc. You're going to have the ability to change your adjustments. Now, I think that's a good thing. I think that gives you opportunity to counter what your opponent is doing. But you're going to have to look out for people that are obviously going to do the same thing with their offense. They're going to start with a run-heavy scheme and then switch to pass-heavy, hoping to catch you off guard in both places. That'll probably happen, but be aware of it and be sure that you put the correct abilities on your players to try and counter the best you can anybody that runs into that. The second one, second change coming, which I think is going to be big, is auction house limits. So in the beta, it had limits that you could put on players when you're auctioning them. Meaning, right now, for those people that actually snipe those cards for no money spent, to where you can, people will post them on really low and you can turn around and resell them for more. Depending on what limits they put around this, you may not be able to snipe to make cards anymore, which would be very disappointing. It's a way for no money spent people to make coins. Also, what I think they're trying to accomplish here the most is not really the sniping. I think what they're trying to accomplish the most are these third parties who sell coins, Madden coins, for real money. And they have you post, a silver player on the auction block for $2 million, and then they'll go and buy him after you pay him or whatever. I think they're trying to put those companies out of business and make it so if you want to spend money on Madden, you have to actually buy packs or spend money in the actual game, and you can't use these third-party vendors anymore to do that. I think that's what they're trying to accomplish, to be honest with you. But what it also impacts would be sniping. So we're going to have to see what the limits are on this. Maybe it's 10%, and 10% is EA tax, right? So that could eliminate the sniping. Maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 30%. And so really, it kind of still eliminates those huge buys from those third parties. But anyways, that's going to be a change we're going to have to look out for. That's a big change coming to Madden 22 that everyone needs to be aware of. And we got to kind of figure out how to help our no money spent folks. The third, home field advantage. Home field advantage is going to be big. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, obviously, and so one of our home field advantages, your opponent starts out with less stamina. I think that's going to be huge. And depending on the how OP they make these, some people may pick teams just based off their home field advantage. So make sure you know the different home field advantages that are in different places and try and pick the best one. If you're not particular to a team, I'm just going to stay with my Broncos. Unless there's something that's OP, then I will try and adjust so I can just be competitive. So pay attention to the home field advantages. All right, dynamic gameplay is going to be if you're on a next-gen console or not. So even if you're on, your Xbox Series X, or if you're on PlayStation 5, or if you're on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, the dynamic gameplay is going to have a component in both areas. So what does that mean? You got to learn about it. Make sure that you understand how to dominate next gen. Right now, if you were to go and play next gen, Derrick Henry or Jerome Bettis, those heavy backs, they have animations that give them that fall forward, and it's harder for them to be tackled because they weigh so much. And they're trying to use that dynamic gameplay to give a more real life experience. Tyreek Hill is super fast as an acceleration in his cuts and his routes runnings and all that good stuff, which makes him very hard to defend. You're going to want to know that, and so pick your players accordingly when you're building your MUT team or picking your franchise players in Madden 22. When you get those options at the beginning of the game to, hey, do you want this running back or this running back, pick the one that has a better dynamic gameplay. Pick the Tyreek Hills, pick the Derrick Henrys, that type of stuff. Pick your taller cornerbacks and receivers, because they've also said they're going to make that more realistic. If you have a 6'5" wide receiver on a 5'9" corner, that 6'5" receiver is going to be able to get it a little bit better. So learn about that. Another thing that they've kind of changed is that the cornerback and the wide receiver will each go for the ball independently instead of having those animations like they have. So right now, where you see the teleportation blocks or interceptions or things like that, they're not going to do that. If that cornerback can get there and play it, they're going to play it independently and do that. If they can't, then they will not. Same thing with the receiver. So it should be more realistic. If you have a couple steps on your wide receiver, or if your cornerback is tight on that man, then it'll actually play the ball independently instead of giving it a predetermined animation, which I think would be great. But that's all this gameplay. So pick your tall receivers, pick your fast receivers, pick your heavy running backs to break those tackles. You need to learn about dynamic gameplay and make sure that you're planning accordingly in your. And the fifth one, strategy cards. Strategy cards, from everything that I have seen, are really replacing your chemistries. So instead of having these chemistry slots for play fake and go deep and all those other things, lockdown, you're going to have cards. And the cards are have an associated tier value. And when you put those cards into your lineup in the lineup screen, you start off with 3 slots. I don't know if you're going to get more throughout the year or not, but when you put those cards in the screen, everybody on your team gets that bonus. So, for example, if you have the play fake strategy card and it gives, 1+ route running for medium, 1+ route running for short, 1+ throw power, 1+ break tackle, you'll get all those abilities on your team, on the offensive side of your team. You're going to have offense and defensive strategy cards. So you got to learn about those, and those I think are going to be replacing the chemistries. I don't think you're going to be able to put the chemistries on your people anymore, which leads into, if they're going to make those other individual chemistries as far as like sprinter, if those are going to now be strategy cards as well, meaning like one slot would be offense, one slot would be defense, and then you'd get one slot for like brawler or sprinter or leaper or something like that. That is possible. They haven't confirmed anything yet, but that's possible. So you're going to want to make sure you understand the strategy cards and you put them in your lineup to go for what you're actually trying to accomplish in your team. It's unknown yet if you can put in 2 offense or 2 defense, or if it's going to be 1 for each. But it is known that you're going to have strategy cards. It is known that that's going to be replacing the chemistries for like play fake and go deep. It's unknown if it's actually going to replace sprinter 2. But based off of the 3 slots, there's a good probability that it could. So be aware of that. And those are the 5 main things right now to be aware of and how that can impact you on Madden 22. For a couple extras, I'm just going to give you a couple extras real quick. Your cards are going to have stats on them, and they're going to track the stats, so how many plays that player made for you. So you can see if a card is doing a good job or not doing a good job for you, and move people around as needed. If you're paying $2 million for a card that's not making any plays for you, well, you might sell that card and get somebody else that is making plays for you. And you're going to be able to track those stats now, so that's going to be perfect. The 8, 12, EA Play is something that's coming out as well. So on 8.12, if you have EA Play, you have like 10 hours that you can get onto the game early. Before the early release on 8.17, for those versions that you bought, you get 3 days early access on 8.17 instead of 8.20. Well, if you have EA Play, you get it on 8.12 for 10 hours. But if you bought Dynasty and you have EA Play, and you get, that's called EA Pro apparently, then you can have unlimited time starting on 8.12. Well, that's going to give you a whole bunch of advantages of completing a whole bunch of different sets, practicing, going into practice mode, figuring out what beats cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, etc. So you're going to want to do that as much as you possibly can. And real quick, the last thing I would just want to say is try and buy the version that's best for you right now. So I think Dynasty obviously is the best version, and if you have EA Play, you can get it for 10% off on top of the other 10% already, and so you can get it for like $99, and which is around what the MVP edition is selling for. So you can get all that extra bonus stuff, and you can get it for that time, and you get a free 99 in this year's game if you're still playing, which is great. If not, oh well, you still, for the same price, you can get the best version and start off the game in a much better position. So anyways, I hope this helped you out. I hope this helps you kind of get your mind right for what you need to start looking for when Madden 22 starts. If this did help you out, please like and subscribe, bringing more content like this in the future. But as always, thanks so much and have a great day.